Today we're diving into this intriguing concept, listening critically and comparing different perspectives. It's a neat framework for really understanding how ideas differ in any discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. I mean, what struck me was the idea that a perspective is basically just a view, right? One person's take on a problem, or even something as big as the global economy. And it's shaped by, experiences, values, and even cultural norms.
Right. It's like every person carries their own little encyclopedia of experiences, and that explains why their perspective might seem totally clear to them, yet mystifying to
Definitely.
someone else.
Yeah, and that ties into the value of different perspectives, doesn't it? Each view is, just a piece of a bigger puzzle. Without all these pieces, we're not really seeing the full picture.
Exactly. There's this idea that no one holds all the answers, even experts. They need to talk to each other to blend their insights. It's like a discussion where every voice adds detail to the overall understanding.
Right? And that's where um, active listening plays a crucial role, isn't it? I mean, not just hearing someone, but really capturing their core points. Like, what do they propose? What reasons do they give? And what counterpoints might exist?
True, true. It's pretty much like creating a mental table of pros and cons. You listen to the arguments and consider what's pushing each perspective.
Yep, exactly. Now, one thing I'm wondering about, though, and feel like we should challenge a bit, is it always practical to compare perspectives this thoroughly? Sometimes debates can get really complex.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, in an ideal scenario, you systematically note down the reasons for or against each option. But in the heat of a conversation, it can become overwhelming if you're trying to capture every nuance.
Mm-hmm, exactly. That's where having a system, like using a grid or a simple model, helps. You have columns for options, reasons for and against, and then you gauge credibility and relevance. It sort of, makes the chaotic discussion more structured.
Precisely. It's not like a cookbook recipe, but it provides a framework. You can capture the core points, like what are the actual arguments being made and how do they stack against each other.
Right, I get that. And it's really valuable for expanding our own understanding. By listening to multiple perspectives, you invite a broader view, challenge your own assumptions, and even uncover some unconscious biases.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it like it's like mixing different colors to get a more vibrant picture. Each perspective adds a specific hue to the overall vision of the issue.
That's true. I love that analogy. But here's a thought. Not all perspectives carry equal weight sometimes. How do we decide which ones to lean on when making decisions?
Right? That's where the credibility and evidence come in. We're supposed to assess which perspective is more likely to be true based on the reasons they provide. It's like weighing the pros and cons until you see which has a more compelling case.
Yeah, absolutely. So, in practice, whether in a classroom debate or, say, in a team meeting, the idea is to actively listen, jot down those key points, and then build a mental or even a literal matrix of the arguments. That helps in, reaching a well informed view.
Exactly. And that's such an important skill because decisions, big or small, rarely have a clear cut answer. There are always these trade offs. And sometimes, as the content mentions, it's as much about values as it is about outcomes.
Right on. It really does require um, an intellectual wrestling of ideas. And you know what? That process itself refines our thinking. Even if a debate doesn't end with conclusive results, the act of weighing different viewpoints sharpens our understanding.
Uh huh. It's like, each discussion builds up your mental toolkit. I mean, with every conversation, you get better at identifying what's really central
Yep,
to
for
the
sure.
argument.
Absolutely. But sometimes I wonder if people might, you know, when overwhelmed by too many perspectives, revert to a default bias, clinging to what they already believe, rather than truly comparing arguments.
Hmm. That's a challenge for sure. It takes effort to really step back and acknowledge that no, your own perspective is just one voice among many. Recognizing that requires humility and an active effort to engage with differing opinions.
Right. And that's not always easy. No, it's not. And I think it's also about the environment. For instance, a classroom debate or a team brainstorming session can be structured so that everyone gets to expose and compare their viewpoints. That also builds, the skills needed for critical listening.
Precisely. The content even suggests using structured activities for assessment by, say, having learners organize a range of perspectives and then compare them. It forces them to genuinely process the information and not just
Exactly.
passively agree.
And that structured process highlights the importance of making trade offs. We're dealing with values, outcomes, and, well, the fact that not every problem has a single solution.
Totally. It's as if every decision is a balancing act between multiple valid options. You've got to compare the core points and then decide what fits best
Yes,
with your
exactly.
own understanding.
One point that still bugs me, though, is the potential for oversimplification. I mean, reducing complex debates to a grid might miss some of the richer subtleties of a human conversation.
I hear you, but I think the grid is more of a starting tool, right? It's meant to organize the chaos, not to capture every nuance. The idea is to get a hold of the big arguments and then, over
I see
time,
that.
build a better mental model.
Exactly, it's like a roadmap rather than the destination. And over time, as you engage more and really listen through the noise, those finer details become more apparent.
Right? And that's the beauty of critical listening. It's dynamic. It evolves as you experience more interactions and see how each perspective holds up in different contexts.
Absolutely. And I love how this approach also makes you more aware of the limitations within our own thinking. By inviting external viewpoints, you minimize the risk of thinking you know everything.
For sure, it's a humbling but enlightening process. And it's not just about academic debates, it's relevant in all walks of life, business, relationships, even like daily decisions.
Definitely. So, wrapping it up, it's clear that listening critically and comparing perspectives is a skill that, while challenging, can really enrich our understanding and decision making.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tool that enables us to see the bigger picture, appreciate diversity in thought, and ultimately make more balanced decisions.
Right. And even though it demands extra effort and sometimes a structured approach, the outcome, more informed and thoughtful insights, is totally worth it.
Exactly. Because when you're armed with multiple perspectives, your ability to evaluate, debate, and even innovate increases dramatically. It's like each perspective is a window lighting up a different part of the landscape of truth.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well put. And that's the essence. By listening, comparing, and challenging our assumptions, we unlock better decision making, whether in classrooms or boardrooms.
Right? And it's an ongoing journey. So keep in mind to always dig a little deeper when you hear a new perspective and actively engage with the diversity of ideas out there.
Yep. Thanks for this engaging chat. It really reminds me of how important it is to not just listen, but really think about what I'm hearing.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep those ears open and the mind even more open.
Yeah, exactly.